One of the major soccer tournaments taking place right now is the AFC Asian Cup tournament, and it's reached the semifinals starting on Tuesday at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time between Jordan and the Korea Republic. This is a rematch of a Group E stage match where these teams played, and it's the Nashama versus the Taegeuk Warriors. This is the first time Jordan's made it this far in the tournament. Now, South Korea, though, will come in as big favorites as minus 200 to win in regulation. Jordan being big underdogs at 6-1, and the draw being 3-1. Now, to advance by any means, South Korea would be an even bigger favorite at minus 400. Jordan being plus 275. A bet on over 2.5 goals being plus 150. The unders favored at minus 150, both teams to score yes, plus 120, both teams to score no, minus 163. For Korea, they were second in this group, which also saw Jordan in it. They were 1-2-0. Now they beat Bahrain 3-1. They drew with Jordan 2-2, and they drew Malaysia 3-3. In the round of 16, they drew Saudi Arabia 1-1 and went on to win 4-2 in PKs. The last game in the quarterfinals, they beat Australia 2-1, but they were minutes away from losing that game. Australia scored in the 42nd minute, and it stayed that way until South Korea scored a PK in the 96th minute. They then scored again even deeper into stoppage time in the 104th minute for that win. Australia led in shots 13-12. South Korea had the edge in shots on target 9-4 and had most of the possession in that game with 74% and 8-2 in corners. For Jordan, they were in the same group. In Group B, they were 1-1-1 in group stage play. They started with a 4-0 win over Malaysia, drew South Korea 2-2, and then lost to Bahrain 1-0. In the round of 16, they went back and forth with Iraq and won 3-2, but it was 2-1 Iraq until a late Jordan goals in the 95th and 97th minute to get that result. In quarterfinal play, they just barely got by Tajikistan 1-0, but only with a 66-minute own goal from Tajikistan. Tajikistan led in shots 12-10. Shots on target were tied 2-2. Tajikistan slightly had the edge in possession, 51%, while Jordan had more corners at 6-3. If you were looking at players to target for any props in this game, Jordan's had 5 different scores. They have 3 players with 2 goals, those being Al Namat, Al Tamari, and Al Madri. Al Namat and Al Tamari also have the most shots with 14 and 5 on target, and 19 with 5 on target as well for Korea. They have had 6 different scores. Sung Hung Min from Tottenham has 3, Lee Kang-in has 2, and those 2 have also been piling up the shots for the Korea Republic with 23 and 10 on target and 14 and 10 on target as well, respectively. Now, head-to-head between these teams when they've played, there's a very short history. Korea is still undefeated. They're 3-3-0. They did, though, like I said, just play earlier in this tournament in that 2-2 draw in the group stage. If we look back at that game for some insights as to how this game could unfold, it was a wild game where South Korea scored early, 9 minutes in. The game was tied on a South Korea own goal in the 37th minute. Jordan took the lead in first half stoppage time, and then all the way until that score stayed the same until the 91st minute when Jordan had an OG of their own to see the game end, drawn 2-2. South Korea had the possession 66%. Shot edge 23-12 and shots on target 7-4. South Korea had 2.75 XGA, and despite the 2 goals that Jordan had, they had a very minuscule XGA of just 0.23. Now, if we look at the form for these teams outside of the tournament and in their recent games, Jordan now has 4 wins in their last 7 games, but those are their only 4 wins in their last 14 games. They have scored a goal in 7 of 8, and in 25 of 28, though. They've conceded a goal in 14 of 16. There's been 2 or more goals in 14 of their past 16 games as well. For South Korea, they're now undefeated in 13 games, being 9-4-0. They scored in all 13 of those games. They've also scored multiple goals in 8 of those 13 games as well. However, they've also been sometimes good defensively, keeping clean sheets in 6 of 13. However, none of those have come in this tournament, as bets on both teams to score have gone a perfect 5-0 in Korea Republic games. Let's look at some of the shots, and you can see that both of these teams are getting a fair amount of shots in this tournament. South Korea's had 89 shots, 36 on target. They've allowed 55 shots with 19 shots on target allowed. That means they're averaging over 7 shots on target per game, but they're also giving up almost 4 shots on target per game. Jordan, they've had 62 shots, 25 shots on target, given up 64 shots, and they've seen 21 shots on target against them. So they are also averaging 5 shots on target, but they're giving up over 4 as well. So I think we could see both teams getting a fair amount of scoring chances in this game. South Korea was one of 3 teams to score 8 goals for, the most in the group stage. That scoring has continued in the knockout rounds with 3 more goals. Also, so here's another way to look at this game as well. If you dive into the box scores of these games, if you want to find some alternate bets that could give you some good value, if you wanted to look at odds for a PK, odds for an own goal, odds for late goals in like the last 25 minutes, the last 10 minutes. Let's just look at some of the box scores here. In South Korea, they've had a goal with Jordan. It had 2 own goals and a PK. And there was a goal in first half stoppage time, also a goal in second half stoppage time. They had another game that had 2 PKs in it, as well as 2 goals in second half stoppage time. They had another game with a goal in second half stoppage time. They also had a game with a PK and 3 goals in second half stoppage time. In fact, 5 of South Korea's last 6 goals have all come in the 80th minute or later. And if we look at Jordan, it's a similar story as well. They had a game with a PK. They had that game against South Korea with OG, PK, and some stoppage time goals. They had another game where they saw a goal in first half stoppage time, and then 3 second half stoppage time goals, plus 6 goals that were scored in the 76th minute or later. And South Korea have been scoring goals. They've been allowing some goals, though. Jordan looks capable of getting some goals. Both of these teams have seen wild endings to their games, so I think we should see a goal from both teams here. Let's go both teams to score. That would be plus 120, which is probably good enough odds on its own. I do think South Korea has a little bit too much, and they should get past Jordan in some way, shape, or form. So if you wanted to up that, we could go both teams to score and Korea to advance at plus 187. So those are my best bets for this game. What do you see happening? Jordan to pull the upset, South Korea to move on, high scoring, low scoring. Drop your picks down there in the comments and follow the channel for more Asian Cup predictions for the rest of the tournament.